News when you want it with Bloomberg News. Now I'm Amy Morris. Iran's Fars news agency has released details of that deal between Iran and Oman on passage through the Strait of Hormuz. The deal reportedly says any nation that caused damage to Iran won't be granted a permit to pass through the strait. U.S. and Israeli vessels would be prohibited under the deal, which is currently under review in Iran's parliament. Oil now about 4% higher. WTI crude oil closing in on $78 a barrel, and Brent crude topping $82 a barrel. President Trump has been speaking by phone with Kevin Warsh since he's become Fed chair. Sources tell Bloomberg News the two have talked multiple times since Warsh was confirmed in May. One source says the president has asked about forecasts and opinions, but has not pushed for a specific course of action. It's not clear if they've ever discussed monetary policy. The Financial Times reports Chairman Warsh plans to stick to his stripped-down public communications policy, even after the scant details from his last rate decision sparked a Treasury sell-off. Bloomberg Economics chief U.S. economist Anna Wong says Warsh has said he is not sure yet what he'll talk about when he attends the Jackson Hole Economic Policy Symposium later this month.
Typically, the Fed should be well underway, and then he should be redlining his speech right now. I think what he has to do in this speech is to reestablish the credibility that he has somewhat lost in the last press conference.
Anna Wong with Bloomberg Economics on Bloomberg Surveillance. The Financial Times reports says Warsh is also prepared to hike interest rates if inflation comes in hot in the coming weeks. The Senate Homeland Security Committee has voted to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. The former public face of the COVID response invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times last week, responding to questions about his handling of the pandemic. Committee Chair Rand Paul.
Dr. Fauci faced no risk of federal prosecution. All he had to do was tell the truth. That is what we are voting on today. Not his opinions, not his policies. We are voting on whether a witness who has received the benefit of a sweeping federal pardon can be ordered by this committee to answer questions and then defy that order without consequence.
Ranking Democrat Gary Peters.
If this committee now seeks to punish a witness for asserting their constitutional protected Fifth Amendment rights, future witnesses will argue that appearing before Congress exposes them to punishment regardless of whether they comply with the subpoena and invoke a constitutional protection.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson says he now has a copy of Fauci's government cell phone, claiming on the social media post that the phone could answer some of the questions Fauci refused to address. The Federal Communications Commission has voted to repeal a nationwide audience cap that limited the number of TV viewing households a single broadcaster can reach. Commissioner Ana Gomez is the only dissenting vote, saying that Congress set the cap and only Congress can change it. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr argues the rule relaxation is necessary to help broadcasters stay competitive. The move is key for Nexstar's acquisition of rival Tegna, which would reach 80% of U.S. households, well over the previous limit of 39%. President Trump's administration plans to overhaul Head Start, a key early education program for the nation's poorest children. Officials from the Department of Health and Human Services say the changes posted would encourage more local decision-making by eliminating federal regulations. Critics argue this could also undermine Head Start's effectiveness. Officials claim this could save more than $2 billion and expand the program's reach, but experts warn it could also lower standards. The public has 60 days to weigh in on this. Wall Street traders are holding off any big bets on stocks in the run-up to tomorrow's jobs report, with higher oil prices raising concerns about inflation and lifting bond yields. We do check markets for you all day long here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 down 0.1%. NASDAQ little changed on the upside. The Dow is down 0.5%. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.65%. The 2-year yield at 4.23%. And not a lot of movement in weekly jobless claims. Applications were little changed, staying below 200,000 for a third straight week, underscoring the labor market's resilience. The streak below 200,000 is the longest since 1969. The 4-week moving average fell to the lowest since September of 2022. Alphabet is looking to raise as much as $25 billion from its latest U.S. investment-grade bond offering, a deal that will test investor appetite for AI-related debt. Sources tell Bloomberg that Alphabet, the parent company of Google and YouTube, is offering notes in as many as 10 parts with maturities ranging ranging from 2 to 40 years. Alphabet has so far drawn about $115 billion of demand. Alphabet shares less than 1% lower. SpaceX shares are nearly 2% higher after a $100 billion insider lockup expired today. More than 911 million shares were released. Add that to the 639 million already in circulation. That's more than 1.5 billion shares of SpaceX available to trade. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.